With WVU now officially announcing the signing of another incoming transfer, it's time for another roster update here on the Country Roads webcast. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads webcast. And before I get into this video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you would do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, give us a like on this video. It'll help not only this video's performance, but future videos performances here on the channel as well. And if you're a Mountaineer fan and you haven't already, be sure hit that subscribe button. Helps us and it helps you, as it helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, as I stated in the cold opening to the video, West Virginia University has officially announced the signing of another transfer that, of course, we covered the commitment of in a previous video here on the Country Roads webcast, as we have for all of the transfers in and transfers out, as we've continued to try and cover that throughout the West Virginia football offseason. But now for another roster update, of course, with the impetus of this roster update being the addition of E.J. Horton, as WVU officially announced his addition with a press release back on May 26th coming from Mike Montoro. You can find this over on the university's official website there at WVUsports.com, which prompted another roster update from us here on the Country Roads webcast to bring you this May 28th roster update as we continue to try and update this West Virginia roster as we progress throughout the offseason and get closer to the Mountaineer football season. But as you can see here on the screen, West Virginia announcing E.J. Horton, the 6 foot, 180-pound junior wide receiver, originally hailing from Louisville, Kentucky, coming to WVU as a transfer from Marshall University, so he will stay in the same state where he will finish out his final 2 years of eligibility at WVU. Originally had committed to Colorado before changing his mind and coming to Morgantown. Luckily for us Mountaineer fans, he chose us over Colorado, Mississippi State, BYU, and California, among others. And you can see a brief picture of his statistics here as I scroll through the official press release from the university. But beyond that, we will move on, of course, to update our roster here on the Country Roads webcast as we continue to try and update it throughout this offseason. Like I said, I'll continue to try and bring you guys these roster updates throughout the offseason as more transfers are added to the roster, as well as the incoming freshmen that are not yet on campus. We should see more and more of these players continue to come in here as we get closer and closer to the start of fall camp, now getting past Memorial Day here on Memorial Day weekend. But the most recent addition we now can add to the roster here is E.J. Horton, the Marshall wide receiver transfer, joining the West Virginia program as a junior with 2 years of eligibility. For now, as you see, we'll slot him here at the X wide receiver. Like I said, throughout the offseason, a lot of these are subject to change depending on where players end up position-wise. Once we get into fall camp, we'll be able to provide further updates. That's why all of these are titled with a date so that you know what update came when, and we can continue to progress and update the roster, which I'll scroll through here as I talk briefly. I think E.J. Horton could be a good target for the West Virginia Mountaineers. People have talked about his speed, but he seems like a good route runner for the Mountaineers and one of the more underrated additions that the program has added. I think that he can help the West Virginia passing game, which is an area which certainly needs assistance. West Virginia losing all 4 of their top pass catchers from last season, and they have made moves in the transfer portal to try and help for that. We know Devin Carter that they added from NC State is probably going to be wide receiver 1, but there's a group of guys that will compete for other spots as the kind of wide receiver 2 and to be rotational players on the roster. E.J. Horton, the subject of this video, will certainly factor into the competition. Maybe on the other side where we know Cortez Braham had a good spring, but you've brought in guys like Noah Massey, Horton, etc. to compete there. And then, of course, we still have freshmen that will be adding to the wide receiver mix on a further roster update, but this is kind of how things sit currently here for this May 28th roster update here on the Country Roads webcast. So there you have it, Mountaineer Nation. A very brief roster update here for our May 25th version, but really appreciate you guys tuning into this one. Let me know what you think about EJ Horton and how he can help the Mountaineers. And overall, what do you think about the West Virginia wide receiver room for the 2023 season as it stands with the additions West Virginia has made there? As I stated here in this video, having to wholesale place a wide receiver room is going to be tough, and West Virginia needs to have some success there in the passing game, as other teams know, just as us West Virginia fans know, that the Mountaineers are going to try and have a run heavy focused offense. So people are going to try and game plan for that. So West Virginia needs to have some counters in the passing game, and some of these transfer wide receivers are going to play a part in that. So be sure, let us know not only what you think about the addition of EJ Horton, but what you think about the West Virginia wide receiver room. That's going to need to be successful for the Mountaineers to find success this upcoming season. Be sure, let us know how you're feeling about that there in the comments down below. We really appreciate the interactions as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.